Billionaire takes son Christmas shopping, but when they see a poor mother and her baby in the cold, the boy's request leaves him speechless. The night was brutal in New York City, the kind of cold that bites your skin and makes your bones ache. The downtown streets shimmered with Christmas decorations, red, gold, and white lights blinking in every shop window. Fresh snow covered the sidewalks, and the biting wind blew relentlessly. It was Christmas Eve, and the whole city seemed wrapped in magic. Robert walked down the main street with his hands shoved deep into his coat pockets. Beside him, Tyler skipped excitedly, leaving small footprints in the snow. The 5-year-old boy's eyes were wide, fascinated by everything. Every decorated window, every giant Santa Claus, every illuminated reindeer. "Dad, look at that one." Tyler pointed at everything, unable to choose what was most incredible. Robert smiled. These moments were rare. Work, meetings, business. It all consumed his life. He owned one of the country's largest tech companies. Money was never a problem. Time always was. But tonight, none of that mattered. It was just him and Tyler. "Having fun, champ?" Robert asked, squeezing his son's tiny hand. "It's so beautiful, Dad. It looks like a movie." They kept walking, passing shops filled with people doing last-minute shopping. The sound of Christmas music played through the loudspeakers. Whole families walked by carrying bags, laughing, taking pictures. Robert and Tyler stopped in front of a giant toy store. The window was packed with cars, action figures, electronic games. Tyler pressed his face against the cold glass, practically drooling over everything. "Wow," he whispered, impressed. Robert crouched down, meeting his son's gaze. He put a hand on his shoulder and smiled. "Tyler," he said, his voice soft, "what do you want for a present?" Tyler turned his little face, red from the cold, to his father. He thought for a moment, biting his lower lip. He looked at the window again. "That flying car. The remote control one they show on TV." Robert laughed. "That one's a bit pricey, huh? But I think we can convince Santa." Tyler broke into a huge smile, his eyes sparkling with happiness. He started jumping again, excited, already imagining the gift under the tree. "Dad, do you think Santa can bring it tonight? Because tomorrow is already—" Tyler stopped talking, suddenly, completely motionless. Robert frowned. "Tyler, what is it, son?" The boy didn't answer. He was staring across the street near a dark wall between two closed shops. His smile had vanished. His hand squeezed his father's tightly. Robert followed his son's gaze and felt his heart clench. Sitting on the freezing ground, leaning against a concrete wall, was a young woman. Blonde, with disheveled hair falling over her pale face. Tired, almost lifeless light eyes. She wore a coat that was too thin for the ridiculous cold. Her hands trembled as she held something close to her chest. A baby. The little one was wrapped in a thin cloth. It wasn't even a blanket, it looked like an old sheet. The baby cried softly, a weak, energy-less cry. The mother rocked back and forth, desperate, trying to warm her son. Her breath came out in white vapor in the freezing air. Around them, the ground was covered in dirty snow. Robert felt something churn inside him. Tyler remained frozen, clinging to his father's hand with all his might. His eyes were fixed on the baby. He wasn't blinking. He wasn't moving. The wind blew harder, whipping up snow and making the thin cloth flutter. The baby cried louder for a second, but its voice quickly weakened again. "Dad!" Tyler's voice came out soft, trembling. "Look at the baby. He's cold." Robert crouched all the way down, face to face with his son. He put both hands on his shoulders. "I know, son. I saw them too." "But—" Tyler's voice started to break. "Why are they there? Where is their house? Why isn't anyone helping?" Robert didn't know how to answer, how to explain to a 5-year-old that the world is unfair, that some people have everything and others have nothing. Sometimes people go through really tough times, Robert tried to explain. But there are places that help, shelters, churches. "But Dad," Tyler interrupted, tears filling his eyes, "the baby is crying right now. He's cold right now. He can't wait. Tears began to stream down his little face, red from the cold. "He's going to freeze, Dad." Robert felt a lump in his throat. He looked again at the woman and the baby. The scene was devastating. The young mother pulled the cloth over the baby, trying to cover him more, but it was useless. The cold was brutal. People walked by on the sidewalk. Some glanced quickly, but no one stopped. No one helped. Tyler wiped his tears with his sleeve and looked up at his father. There was something different in his gaze. A deep determination Robert had never seen before. "Dad," he whispered, his voice cracking but firm, "I want to give them a home." Robert was utterly speechless. He froze. For a long moment, he just looked at his son. The noise of the street seemed to have vanished. It was as if the world had stopped. Tyler wasn't kidding. He wasn't being dramatic. The boy was serious. At 5 years old, he had just made the purest, most impossible request Robert had ever heard. "Tyler, son," Robert began, but couldn't continue. "I don't want the car," Tyler went on, clutching his father's hand. The tears kept falling. "I don't want any present. I want them to have a house, a warm place, with food, with real blankets." He sobbed. "Please, Dad, we can't leave them here. We have a big house, we have food, we have everything, and they have nothing." Those words hit Robert like a punch. He had money, plenty of money, mansions, cars, power, infinite resources. But how long had it been since he used any of that to truly change someone's life? He donated to charity, of course, big checks. But when was the last time he looked into the eyes of someone in need and reached out his hand? He looked at Tyler. His 5-year-old son had just given him the biggest lesson in humanity. Then he looked at the woman and the baby shivering against the wall, and he made a decision. "Come on," Robert said, holding his son's hand tightly. "Let's help them." Tyler wiped his tears and nodded, determined. The two crossed the street, walking slowly. The snow crunched underfoot. When they got closer, Robert could see better. She was young, probably in her early 20s, too thin, too pale, exhausted. The woman didn't notice their approach at first. Her head was bowed, whispering to the baby, trying to calm him. When Robert and Tyler stopped in front of her, she looked up with a start. Her light eyes were filled with fear. "Sorry," she said quickly, her voice raspy. "We were just about to leave. I'm sorry." "No," Robert said, firm but gentle. He crouched down. "You don't have to leave." She looked at him, confused, suspicious. Robert took a deep breath. "It's too cold for you to stay here," he continued, looking at the crying baby. "Come with us. We have a warm place, food, a safe spot." The woman shook her head, scared. I can't. I don't know you. Thank you, but—" "I know it seems strange," Robert interrupted, "but look at your baby. He's crying from the cold. You're shivering. I'm not asking for anything in return. I just want to help, but I can't." Tyler let go of his father's hand and took a step forward. He held out his small hand to the woman in a gesture so pure and brave, it made Robert's heart nearly burst. "Come with us," Tyler said softly, tears still in his eyes. "Please, we'll take care of you. I promise." The woman looked at the boy's outstretched hand, then at the baby in her lap. The little one was still crying, trembling. His lips were almost purple. She had no choice. With trembling hands, she took Tyler's hand. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice broken. "Thank you so much." Robert helped her up. She was weak, her legs shaky, but she managed to steady herself. The baby was still wrapped in the thin cloth. Robert saw his little face and pale, thin, purplish lips. "What's his name?" Tyler asked. "Oliver," the woman replied, with a sad smile. "And I'm Kelly. I'm Tyler, and this is my dad, Robert." Kelly nodded, still tense, but holding the boy's hand tightly. "Let's go," Robert said gently. The four walked together down the brightly lit street. People continued to pass by, carrying shopping bags, laughing, talking about gifts. No one noticed the small family that had just formed there. When they reached the car, a black Mercedes, Robert opened the back door and helped Kelly get in. She sat down carefully, shielding Oliver against her chest. Tyler got in on the other side, sitting next to her. "He's really little," Tyler commented. "How old is he?" "6 months," Kelly replied softly. Robert started the engine and cranked the heater up high. The warm air spread quickly. Kelly closed her eyes, feeling the warmth. A tear slipped down her cheek. The drive was silent. Robert drove and focused, still processing everything. It didn't make rational sense. He had just brought 2 strangers home, but looking in the rearview mirror and seeing Tyler next to Kelly, he knew he had done the right thing. The house was in an upscale neighborhood. It was large, modern, but welcoming. When they arrived, Robert opened the door. "Come in. Make yourselves at home." Kelly walked in slowly, looking around wide-eyed. Heated floor, soft lights, a huge Christmas tree in the living room, the smell of a clean house. Tyler pulled her hand. "Come sit here on the couch. It's super soft." Kelly sat on the large sofa, still holding Oliver. The baby had stopped crying so loudly but was still trembling. Tyler ran to his room and came back with a thick, soft blanket. "Here," he said, offering the blanket, "so you can both be warm." Kelly took the blanket with trembling hands and wrapped Oliver completely. The tears returned. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you so much." In the kitchen, Robert moved quickly. He heated vegetable soup, prepared warm milk, filled glasses with water. He put everything on a tray and took it to the living room. "Here," he said, "eat slowly. No rush." Kelly took the bowl with trembling hands. The first spoonful made her close her eyes. It was hot, delicious, real. It had been so long. She ate slowly, holding Oliver with one arm. The tears kept falling. They weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of relief, of gratitude, of hope. Tyler sat beside her, watching Oliver. "He's cute," Tyler said. "When he gets bigger, will he play with me?" Kelly smiled for the first time, a small sad but genuine smile. "When he gets a little bigger, he certainly will." When Kelly finished, Robert stood up. "Come, I'll show you where you'll sleep." He led Kelly to the guest room, king-size bed with clean sheets, a wooden dresser, a nightstand, and a foldable crib against the wall. "This crib was Tyler's when he was a baby," Robert explained. "I think it will work for Oliver." Kelly looked around, unable to believe it. It was more than she had dreamed of for months. I don't know how to thank you." "You don't have to thank me for anything," Robert replied. "Just rest. We'll talk tomorrow." Kelly nodded, emotional. Robert and Tyler quickly set up the crib. Kelly carefully placed Oliver inside, still wrapped in the soft blanket. The baby's eyes finally closed, heavy with sleep. Kelly sat on the edge of the bed and burst into tears. Tears of deep relief, of released exhaustion, of immense gratitude, of fear of waking up and finding out it was a dream. In the doorway, Robert watched in silence. Beside him, Tyler held his hand. "Dad," Tyler whispered. "Are they going to stay with us now?" Robert looked at his son and squeezed his hand. "We'll see, champ." But deep down, Robert already knew the answer. Something had changed that night, something that couldn't be undone. And it all started with the impossible request of a 5-year-old boy who, instead of asking for a present for himself, asked for a home for 2 people he didn't even know. A boy who had seen suffering and chose to act. A boy who had taught his billionaire father the biggest lesson in humanity. That Christmas Eve would change everything, forever. Kelly woke up with a start. Her heart was pounding in her chest. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. The room was dark, quiet. She looked around, confused, still half asleep. Then she saw the crib next to the bed. Oliver was sleeping peacefully, wrapped in the soft blanket. The memory of the night before came back like a wave. The cold street, the despair, the boy reaching out his hand. The warm house. Kelly sat up in bed, trembling. Not from cold, from fear. Fear that someone would knock on the door and kick her out. Fear that this was too good to be true. Fear that somehow she would mess everything up. She got up slowly, walking over to the crib. Oliver was sleeping soundly, his face finally showing some color, his lips no longer purple. She lightly touched his forehead. He was warm. For the first time in months, Her son had slept warm and safe. The tears came again. Kelly quickly wiped her face and left the room quietly, going downstairs carefully. The house was still. It must still be early. But when she reached the kitchen, she saw Robert. He was facing away, making coffee. He wore a simple shirt and jeans. The smell of fresh coffee filled the air. Robert turned when he heard her enter. "Good morning," he said with a gentle smile. "Did you sleep well?" Kelly stood still in the doorway, unsure what to do with her hands. Yes. Thank you. Sit down." Robert pointed to the table. "I'll make us some breakfast." Kelly sat down slowly, still tense. She watched Robert moving around the kitchen naturally. Toast, eggs, orange juice. It was surreal. A billionaire preparing breakfast for her. A few minutes later, Robert placed a plate in front of her. Hot toast, scrambled eggs, fresh fruit, a steaming cup of coffee. "Eat slowly," he said, sitting across the table with his own cup of coffee. Kelly looked at the food and felt her throat tighten. It was so much kindness. She didn't know how to process it. She started eating slowly. It was delicious. Robert took a sip of coffee and looked at her attentively. "Kelly," he began, his voice calm, "I don't want to pressure you, but if you want to talk, I'm here to listen." Kelly stopped chewing. She swallowed hard. "About what?" "About how you ended up on the street," Robert replied, without beating around the bush. "About what happened. You don't have to tell me if you don't want to, but sometimes talking helps." Kelly looked down at her plate. Her hands trembled slightly. For a long moment, she remained silent. Robert didn't pressure her. He just waited. Finally, Kelly took a deep breath. I ran away," she said softly, "from Oliver's father." Robert nodded, not interrupting. "We lived together. I thought he was different at first," Kelly continued, her voice trembling. "But after I found out I was pregnant, everything changed. He started yelling, breaking things, shoving me." She wiped away a tear that escaped. "At first, I thought it would get better, that it was just stress. But it got worse. He didn't want the baby. He said I had ruined his life." Robert felt anger rise, but he controlled his expression. He let Kelly continue. "When Oliver was born, it got even worse," she said, her voice breaking. "He wouldn't let me sleep. He would yell when Oliver cried. One day he pushed me so hard I hit my head against the wall. Oliver was in my arms. I was so scared." Kelly covered her face with her hands, sobbing softly. "I left that night. I grabbed Oliver and left. I didn't have money. I had nothing. Just a few clothes in a backpack." Robert waited for her to calm down a bit before asking, "What about your family? Friends?" Kelly shook her head. "My mother died when I was a teenager. My father, we haven't spoken in years, and I lost touch with everyone when I started dating him. He didn't like me having friends. He said they were a bad influence." She wiped her face with the back of her hand. "I tried looking for shelters," Kelly continued. "I called several places, but they were all full. Weeks-long waiting lists. Some even took my details, said they would call me, but never did." "And you were on the street that whole time?" Kelly nodded, ashamed. "I slept on park benches, under awnings. Sometimes in parking lots. I always tried to stay in well-lit places, with people nearby, to be safer. But it was..." Her voice failed. "It was horrible. I was so scared. Scared someone would hurt us. Scared Oliver would get sick. Scared of losing him." "Losing him?" Kelly looked at Robert with eyes red from crying. "When I sought help, a social worker said that if I didn't find housing soon, they might take Oliver from me. They said it was for his safety, but he's all I have. He's my life." She sobbed again. "I couldn't let that happen. So I stopped looking for help. I was scared that if I showed up somewhere, they would take my son from me." Robert felt his heart clench. This woman had been through so much, and yet she had protected her son with everything she had. "Kelly," he said, with firmness and kindness, "no one is going to take Oliver from you, not while I can help it." She looked at him, Her eyes filled with fear and hope mixed together. "But I have nothing," she whispered. "No money, no job, nowhere to go." "You can stay here until we find a safe place," Robert said, looking into her eyes. "And we will find one. But calmly. No rush. You and Oliver need time to recover, to rest, to get well." Kelly shook her head, disbelieving. "Why are you doing this? You don't even know me." Robert thought for a moment before answering. "Because my 5-year-old son taught me yesterday that we can't just walk past someone suffering. And he's right. I have this huge house. I have resources. I have the means to help. So that's what I'm going to do." He took another sip of coffee. "Besides," Robert continued, "you didn't do anything wrong. You ran from a dangerous situation to protect your son. That's not shame. That's courage." Kelly felt more tears streaming down, but this time they were different. They were tears of relief, of hope. "Thank you," she whispered. "I don't know how to thank you for this. You don't have to thank me," Robert interrupted gently. "Just focus on yourself and Oliver now. We'll solve the rest slowly." Kelly nodded, still emotional. At that moment, they heard a small sound upstairs. It was Oliver starting to wake up. Kelly quickly got up. "I'll go get him." "Go on," Robert said, "and then come back here. I'll make breakfast for Oliver too." Kelly walked up the stairs, feeling something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. For the first time since she ran away, she wasn't alone. For the first time, someone had believed in her. And for the first time, she started to believe that maybe, just maybe, things could get better. When she returned with Oliver in her arms, Robert was already warming milk. Tyler appeared in the kitchen, still in his pajamas, rubbing his eyes. "Good morning, Kelly." "Good morning, Oliver," he said, with a sleepy smile. Oliver looked at the boy and gave a tiny smile. Tyler beamed. "He smiled at me. Dad, he smiled." Robert laughed. "I saw it. Champ." Kelly looked at that scene. Robert preparing coffee, Tyler making faces at Oliver, the house filled with morning light, and felt something break inside her. It wasn't despair. It was healing, slow, fragile, but real. And at that moment, for the first time in a long time, Kelly allowed herself to believe that maybe she deserved this, that maybe she and Oliver deserved a fresh start. After breakfast, Tyler didn't leave Kelly's side. He followed her around the house like a loyal puppy, always asking if she needed anything, if Oliver was okay, if she wanted to play with him. "Kelly, come see my room?" Tyler pulled her hand. "I have lots of cool toys." Kelly smiled and let the boy lead her upstairs. Oliver was in her arms, quiet, watching everything with curious eyes. Tyler's room was big and full of toys, cars, building blocks, stuffed animals, games, everything organized on colorful shelves. "Look." Tyler picked up a brown teddy bear. "This one is my favorite. His name is Brownie." He held the bear out towards Oliver. "Want to see, Oliver?" The baby looked at the bear and stretched out his tiny hand, trying to grab it. Tyler was radiant. He liked it. Kelly, he liked it. Kelly laughed, feeling her heart warm. It was the first time in months she had seen someone treat Oliver with so much affection. "He loved it," Kelly said. "You're very kind, Tyler." Tyler blushed with pride. Then he ran to another shelf and came back with a colorful rattle. "And this one makes noise. Look." He shook the rattle close to Oliver. The baby's eyes widened, and he gave a little smile. He smiled again. Tyler jumped up and down excitedly. "Kelly, he's happy." Kelly felt her eyes fill with tears, seeing Oliver smiling, safe, warm. It was more than she had dared to dream of. Tyler spent the whole morning showing toys to the baby. He made faces, sang little songs, shook colorful objects. Oliver wouldn't stop smiling. "You're a perfect big brother," Kelly said, running her hand through Tyler's hair. Tyler stopped and looked at her with shining eyes. "Really? Can I be Oliver's brother?" Kelly didn't know how to answer. Her heart tightened. "You already are," she said softly. "The way you take care of him, you already are." Tyler hugged her legs, emotional. Meanwhile, Robert watched everything from the doorway. He had come to check on them and ended up witnessing that scene. His chest was tight with emotion. Tyler had never had siblings, He was an only child, and now he was there, caring for a baby he barely knew as if it were the most natural thing in the world. But then Robert noticed something. Kelly was wearing the same clothes from the night before. A thin coat, pants torn at the knee, old sneakers. She hadn't brought anything but a small backpack. And Oliver, Robert looked at the baby, was wearing a shabby outfit, stained and patched. Robert went downstairs and picked up his cell phone. He made a few quick calls, wrote down addresses, grabbed his car keys. He went back up and lightly knocked on Tyler's door. "Kelly, can I talk to you for a second?" Kelly got up, still holding Oliver. "Of course." They walked into the hallway. Tyler continued playing in the room, making funny noises. "I need to go out for a bit," Robert said. "I'm going to take care of a few things. You make yourself comfortable here, okay? If you need anything, Tyler knows where everything is." Kelly nodded. "Thank you, we'll be fine." Robert hesitated for a moment, then asked, "What size clothes do you wear?" Kelly frowned, confused. "What?" "Clothing size, and shoe size too." Kelly looked down, not understanding. "Why?" "Just tell me," Robert insisted gently. "Medium size, shoe size 7. But why?" "And Oliver, how old is he again?" 6 months. Robert nodded, making a mental note. "Good, I'll be back soon." He left before Kelly could ask anything else. Robert spent the next 3 hours in stores. It wasn't the type of thing he usually did. He typically sent assistants to handle these things. But this time he wanted to choose personally. First stop, women's clothing store. He bought jeans, comfortable tops, a thick, warm winter coat, 2 soft sweaters, thermal socks, a pair of lined boots. He chose everything in neutral, practical colors that Kelly could wear every day. Second stop, baby store. He bought warm sleep suits for Oliver, long-sleeved onesies, sweatpants, socks, a wool hat, small gloves. Everything in blue, green, and grey tones. He also bought diapers, lots of diapers, wipes, diaper rash cream, mild baby shampoo and soap, baby powder, bottles, formula. Third stop, toy store. He bought a brand new, soft, fluffy teddy bear in a light brown color. He also bought some colorful teethers and a musical mobile for the crib. Last stop, pharmacy. Hygiene items for Kelly, shampoo, conditioner, soap, toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, pads, skin moisturizer. When he returned home, the trunk was full of bags. Robert walked in the door, carrying everything. Tyler came running. "Dad, you bought a lot of stuff. Help your dad here, champ." The two went upstairs with the bags. Kelly was in the guest room, changing Oliver's diaper. When she saw Robert and Tyler enter with all those bags, her eyes widened. "What is all this?" "Some things you're going to need," Robert said, placing the bags on the bed. Kelly looked at the bags, then at him, confused. "But what?" Robert started taking things out of the bags, showing her. "Clothes for you. Winter coat, boots, clothes for Oliver, diapers, formula, creams, hygiene items." With each item he showed, Kelly's eyes widened further. "Robert, this is too much. I can't accept all this." "Yes, you can," Robert said firmly. "You have almost nothing, and Oliver needs these things, but this must have cost so much now. It doesn't matter how much it cost." Tyler pulled a bag and took out the teddy bear. "Look, Kelly, it's for Oliver." Kelly took the bear with trembling hands. It was so soft, so new, so perfect. The tears started to fall. She looked at all those things spread out on the bed. Clean clothes, warm clothes, enough diapers for weeks. Everything she had desperately needed, but never managed to get. I don't know what to say," she sobbed, hugging the bear to her chest. Robert walked over and placed a hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to say anything. It's too much," Kelly insisted, crying. "It's too much. I don't deserve this." "Yes, you do," Robert said firmly. "You and Oliver deserve the basics. You deserve dignity. This here?" He pointed to the bags. "This is the bare minimum." Kelly shook her head, the tears falling non-stop. No one has ever done anything like this for me." Tyler walked closer and hugged her leg. "We want to take care of you," he said, looking up with those sincere eyes. "You and Oliver are family now." Those words completely broke Kelly. She sat down on the bed and cried. She cried for everything she had been through. She cried for the fear and despair of the last few months. She cried for the relief of finally being safe. She cried for the kindness of those two people who barely knew her, but were treating her and Oliver with so much love. Robert and Tyler stayed there, in silence, letting her release everything. After a few minutes, Kelly calmed down a bit. She wiped her face and looked at the clothes on the bed. Can I try them on?" she asked softly. "Of course," Robert said. "All of this is yours, and if it doesn't fit, we'll exchange it." Kelly picked up one of the shirts. It was soft, warm, in a light blue shade. She also grabbed a pair of jeans and the winter coat. "I'll leave you to it," Robert said, leaving the room with Tyler. A few minutes later, Kelly came out of the room wearing the new clothes. Everything fit perfectly. The coat was thick and comfortable, the boots warm and soft. She looked at herself in the hallway mirror. She looked like a different person. She looked human again. "It looks great on you," Robert said, smiling. Kelly looked at him, her eyes still red from crying so much. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything. I'll never forget this." "You don't have to thank me," Robert replied. "Just enjoy it. Rest. Take care of Oliver." "We'll sort out the rest." Tyler tugged at her hand. "Now come on, let's put the new clothes on Oliver. He'll look so cute." Kelly laughed through her tears and let Tyler guide her back to the room. Robert stayed in the hallway, watching. His heart was full. Tyler was happier than ever. And Kelly, this woman who had gone through so much suffering, was starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, life could be good again. And it all started with a simple request from a 5-year-old boy, a request that had changed everything. The next day, Robert woke up early with a mission in mind. He needed to find a long-term solution for Kelly and Oliver. As much as they could stay at his house, he knew Kelly would need her own place, independence and structure to start over. He sat in his office with his computer open and his phone in hand. He had a list of shelters, social assistance organizations, and housing programs in the region. He started calling. The first number rang several times before someone answered. "New York Outreach Center, good morning." "Good morning," Robert said. "I'd like to inquire about openings for a mother with a 6-month-old baby." There was a pause on the other end. "Unfortunately, we are full at the moment," the voice replied, tired. "We have no estimated opening date. And how long would the wait be?" "Hard to say. Sometimes weeks, sometimes months." "It really depends." Robert took a note and thanked them before hanging up. He called the second number. "Hope Shelter, how can I help you?" "Hi, I wanted information about openings for a young mother and a baby." "Hold on." The line was on hold for almost 5 minutes. "Hello, sir, our capacity is maxed out right now. We have a pretty long waiting list." "How long is the wait?" "It can take 6 to 8 weeks. And even then, it's not guaranteed," Robert sighed. "I understand. Thank you." Third number. New York Social Services. "Good morning. I'd like to know about temporary housing programs for vulnerable mothers. I'll transfer you to the responsible department. Hold music." It took almost 10 minutes. "Hello?" "So, sir, we do have programs, but the process is quite slow. You need to fill out several forms, go through evaluations, interviews. How long does the whole process take?" 2 to 3 months at the very least, and that's if all the documents are in order. Robert rubbed his face and frustrated. "What if it's an emergency situation? All our cases are emergencies, sir." "Unfortunately, we don't have the capacity to attend to everyone immediately." Robert thanked them and hung up. He called 3 more shelters. The answers were always the same. Full waiting list. No estimate. Slow process. It was as if the entire system had given up on helping those who needed it most. Robert leaned back in his chair, looking at the crossed-out list of numbers. He had called 8 different places. None had an immediate solution. At that moment, Kelly gently knocked on the office door. "Sorry to interrupt," she said softly. "I just wanted to know if you want me to prepare lunch." Robert turned his chair and looked at her. Kelly was wearing one of the tops he had bought, her blonde hair tied in a ponytail. She looked rested, but there were still shadows of fatigue under her eyes. "You don't have to do that," Robert said. "You should rest." "I know, but..." Kelly fidgeted with her hands, nervous. I want to help. You're doing so much for me and Oliver. I need to give back somehow. Robert was about to protest, but he saw the determination in her eyes. Kelly needed to feel useful. She needed to feel like she wasn't just a burden. All right, he said, smiling. If you want to help, feel free, but don't overdo it, okay? Kelly smiled back and nodded. While Robert continued trying to resolve her situation, Kelly went to the kitchen. She started by washing the breakfast dishes. Then she cleaned the sink, organized the dishcloths, and wiped the table. She went to the living room. She straightened the sofa cushions, folded the throws that were lying around, and vacuumed the rug. Tyler appeared carrying Oliver in his arms, or trying to, because the baby was almost his size. Kelly, look. So I'm holding Oliver. Kelly rushed over to help, holding Oliver before Tyler dropped him. Careful, sweetie, she said, laughing. He's too heavy for you. But I want to help take care of him, Tyler insisted. You already help a lot, Kelly said, running her hand through the boy's hair. You're his best friend. Tyler was radiant. Can I stay with you? While you clean the house? Of course you can. Tyler didn't leave her side anymore. He followed Kelly all over the house, talking non-stop, asking questions, telling stories. Kelly, do you know how to play video games? Not really, she admitted. I never had one. I can teach you. It's really cool. That would be great. And do you like to draw? I have crayons. I love to draw. Then we can draw together later. Kelly smiled, her heart warming with the boy's excitement. Tyler had a contagious energy, a pure innocence that made her forget, for a few moments, all the suffering she had been through. After tidying up the living room, Kelly went to the room where she had slept. She carefully made the bed, folded the clothes that were on the chair, and organized Oliver's things. Tyler sat on the floor of the room, playing with Oliver. He made faces, sang little songs, shook colorful toys. Oliver laughed, a sweet baby laugh that filled the room with joy. Look, Kelly, he's laughing at me. Kelly stopped folding clothes and looked at the two of them. Her heart tightened with gratitude. She never imagined that life could be like this, that such good, generous people, so willing to help without asking for anything in return, existed. You're special, Tyler, she said, her voice emotional, very special. Tyler looked at her, confused. Why? Because you have a huge heart, the size of the world. Tyler blushed but smiled proudly. The day passed like this, Kelly helping around the house, Tyler glued to her, Oliver laughing and playing. It was a simple routine but full of affection. At lunchtime, Kelly prepared sandwiches and soup, nothing elaborate but made with care. Robert came down from the office, his face tired. Did you manage to find anything? Kelly asked, already guessing the answer. Robert shook his head. All the shelters are full. The waiting lists are long. The processes are too slow. Kelly lowered her gaze, her heart sinking. I figured, but don't give up, Robert said quickly. We will find a solution. It's just going to take a little longer than I expected. Kelly nodded, trying not to burst into tears again. In the meantime, you stay here, Robert continued. No rush, until we resolve everything properly. Thank you, Kelly whispered. They sat down to eat. Tyler chattered non-stop, telling his dad everything he and Kelly had done during the morning. And we're going to draw later, Dad. I'm going to teach her to draw dinosaurs, Robert laughed. Good idea, champ. After lunch, while Robert went back to the office to continue making calls, Tyler pulled Kelly into the living room. Come on, let's draw now. Kelly sat on the floor with him. Tyler spread papers and crayons everywhere. Oliver was in his car seat nearby, watching everything curiously. Look, this is how you do it. Tyler showed her how to draw a dinosaur. First the head, then the really big body, and the long tail. Kelly tried to imitate him, but her drawing came out crooked. Tyler laughed. It's okay, you just need to practice more. They spent the entire afternoon drawing. Tyler drew dinosaurs, cars, rockets. Kelly drew flowers, houses, the sun. And at some point, without realizing it, Kelly drew something different. A house, a family of 4 in front of it, a man, a woman, 2 boys. She looked at the drawing and felt her eyes fill with tears. Could it be possible? Could it be possible that she and Oliver could really be part of that family? Or was it too good to be true? Tyler looked at the drawing and smiled. "That's us," he said, pointing. "You drew us." Kelly quickly wiped her tears and smiled back. "I did." And at that moment, seeing Tyler happy, Oliver smiling, the house full of warmth and safety, Kelly allowed herself to dream. Just a little. Just for a moment. That maybe, just maybe, this could be the fresh start she desperately needed. It was December 24th, Christmas Eve. The morning was bright and cold outside, but inside the house, the atmosphere was completely different. There was warmth, light, and something in the air that felt like magic. Kelly was in the kitchen, looking into the cabinets with curiosity. Tyler came running, still in his pajamas. "Kelly, can we make Christmas cookies?" Kelly turned, surprised. "Cookies?" "Yeah. Mom always made them before—" Tyler stopped, his smile fading a bit. "Before she left. But Dad doesn't know how to make them. He always burns everything." Kelly felt her heart clench. She knew Tyler's mother had left when he was very young. Robert never talked much about it, but it was clear it had been difficult. "Of course we can make them," Kelly said, smiling. "Do you know the recipe?" Tyler shook his head excitedly. "There's a recipe book right there, with pictures." He ran to a drawer and pulled out an old book with marked and stained pages. He opened it to a page with decorated Christmas cookies. "This one, can we make it?" Kelly looked at the recipe. It didn't seem difficult. And she loved to cook, or she used to when she still had a kitchen. "Let's do it," she said. Tyler jumped for joy. "I'll go get Oliver. He has to see." A few minutes later, Oliver was in his car seat near the kitchen table, watching everything with curious eyes. Tyler had already separated bowls, spoons and cookie cutters in the shape of a star, eye tree and gingerbread man. Kelly read the recipe out loud. Flour, sugar, butter, eggs, vanilla extract. "I'll get it." Tyler ran back and forth, grabbing the ingredients. They started mixing everything. Kelly measured the ingredients while Tyler stirred the bowl fiercely, sending flour flying everywhere. "Slow down, sweetie," Kelly laughed, "or we'll be covered in flour." But it was too late. Tyler had flour in his hair, on his face, on his clothes. Kelly was also covered in dust. Oliver gave a loud giggle from his car seat. Tyler stopped and looked at the baby, surprised. He laughed. "Kelly, he laughed at us." Kelly looked at Oliver, who had a huge smile on his face. "He thought it was funny how messy we are," Kelly said, laughing too. Tyler dipped his hand in the flour and tossed a little in the air, making Oliver laugh again. The sound was so lovely, so pure that Kelly felt her eyes fill with tears of happiness. "Again, do it again," Tyler pleaded. Kelly took a little flour and lightly blew it. Oliver laughed even louder, clapping his little hands in the air. "He loves it." Tyler was radiant. They continued making the dough, between laughter and mess. The kitchen was chaos. Flour spread on the floor, dirty bowls piled in the sink, sugar spilled on the counter. But it was a happy mess. A mess full of life. When the dough was ready, Kelly put it in the fridge to chill. "Now we wait a little while and then cut out the cookies," she explained. "And then we decorate them?" Tyler asked, excited. "Then we decorate them." While they waited, Kelly cleaned Oliver, who had flour even on his cheeks. The baby kept smiling, happy with all the commotion. Tyler sat on the floor next to the car seat and started making faces. Oliver wouldn't stop giggling. Kelly watched the two of them, her heart overflowing. This was the kind of moment she had dreamed of when she found out she was pregnant. A house full of laughter, a child playing with her baby, safety, love, family. After half an hour, Kelly took the dough out of the fridge. She rolled it out on the table, and Tyler used the cookie cutters to cut out stars, trees, and gingerbread men. "Look how many," Tyler proudly showed her. "We're going to have tons." They put everything on a baking sheet and placed it in the oven. The sweet smell began to spread throughout the house. That's when Robert arrived. He had gone out early to take care of some work things, but came back in the middle of the morning. As he entered the kitchen, he stopped in the doorway. The scene in front of him was something he had never seen before. The kitchen was a complete mess, flour everywhere, bowls and spoons scattered. But in the middle of it all was Kelly, her apron stained with flour, smiling, Tyler next to her, covered in sugar, and Oliver in his car seat, giggling. The three of them were laughing together. Robert felt something tighten in his chest, something he hadn't felt in years. It felt like a family. A real family. "Dad!" Tyler ran to him. "We're making Christmas cookies. Look at the mess." Robert laughed. "I see. Looks like a flower bomb exploded here." Kelly blushed, embarrassed. "I'm sorry about the mess. I promise I'll clean it all up." "You don't have to apologize," Robert said, smiling. "This is perfect." He walked closer, looking at the baking sheet in the oven. "It smells amazing." "Just a few more minutes," Kelly said. Robert looked at her. There was flour in her hair, a smudge of sugar on her cheek. She was smiling, her light eyes shining with happiness. She was beautiful. Robert blinked, surprised by his own thought. "Do you need help with anything?" he asked, quickly looking away. "We still have to decorate the cookies later," Kelly said, "but you can help clean up this mess while they bake. Deal." The two started cleaning the kitchen side by side. Tyler played with Oliver, making the baby giggle non-stop. "Tyler is very happy," Robert commented softly as he washed a bowl. "He's special," Kelly replied, drying the plates. "I've never seen a child so affectionate. He's always been like that. But since you and Oliver arrived..." Robert paused, searching for the right words. "He's different, lighter, more complete." Kelly looked at him, emotional. "I'm the one who has to thank you. You saved us." Robert turned to her, his eyes serious. "You saved us too, Kelly. You just don't realize it yet." They looked at each other for a moment. Kelly felt her heart race. The oven timer beeped, breaking the moment. "The cookies!" Tyler yelled. Kelly quickly grabbed the mitts and took out the baking sheet. The cookies were perfect, golden, fragrant, beautiful. "Now they need to cool before we decorate," she explained. While the cookies cooled, Kelly prepared the colored icing. She separated it into small bowls, white, red, green, blue. When the cookies cooled, they started decorating. Tyler dipped the brush in the icing and painted enthusiastically, without much care. Kelly made delicate designs on the stars. Robert tried to make a Christmas tree, but it wasn't turning out very well. "Dad, that tree is crooked," Tyler pointed out, laughing. "Hey, I'm doing my best here." Kelly laughed and took the cookie from his hand. "Let me help." She guided Robert's hand, showing him how to make the icing dots. Their hands touched, and both felt an electric current. Robert looked at her. Kelly looked back. They stayed like that for a few seconds, until Tyler interrupted. "Look at mine. I made a snowman." They both laughed and went back to decorating. The afternoon passed quickly. When they finished, they had dozens of decorated cookies, some pretty, others not so much, but all made with love. "Now let's save them to eat after dinner," Kelly said. "Dinner?" Tyler's eyes widened. "Are we having Christmas dinner?" Robert looked at Kelly, then at his son. "Of course we are. It's Christmas." Tyler jumped for joy. "Can I help make it?" "You can," Kelly said, smiling. The rest of the afternoon was a beautiful, chaotic preparation. Robert and Kelly cooked side by side. He seasoned the meat while she prepared the salad. She chopped vegetables while he stirred the sauce. They kept bumping into each other in the kitchen. Small accidental touches, hands that brushed when reaching for the same spoon, glances that met and lingered longer than they should. Tyler kept running around the kitchen, tasting everything, asking questions, helping in his own way. "Can I set the table?" he asked. "You can, champ," Robert said. "Make it nice, okay?" Tyler took the task seriously. He went to the cabinet and got the nice tablecloth, the one they only used on special occasions. He arranged the plates, cutlery, and glasses. Then he ran to the backyard and grabbed some pine branches, placing them in the center of the table as decoration. Finally, he lit small candles around them. When he finished, he called everyone. "Look how it turned out." Kelly walked into the dining room and her eyes widened. The table was beautiful, simple but full of heart. "Did you do all this yourself?" she asked, emotional. "I did. Does it look pretty?" "It looks perfect." Robert appeared carrying the platter with the roast meat. Kelly brought the salads, rice, and mashed potatoes. Tyler put the basket of warm rolls down. Oliver was in his high chair next to the table, watching everything with attentive eyes. When everything was on the table, the four of them sat down. Robert looked around, the table warmly decorated, the fragrant food steaming, Tyler smiling, Kelly with shining eyes, Oliver giggling. "Before we eat," Robert said, "I wanted to say something." Everyone looked at him. "This Christmas is special," Robert continued, his voice emotional, "because for the first time in a long time, this house is full of life again, of laughter, of love, and that's because of you." He looked at Kelly. "Thank you for letting us help you, for trusting us, for bringing light to this house." Kelly felt tears well up in her eyes. "I'm the one who thanks you," she said, her voice breaking. "You gave me something I thought I had lost forever. Hope, security, a place to belong." Tyler took her hand on one side and his dad's hand on the other. "We're a family now," he said, with that beautiful simplicity of children. Kelly sobbed, squeezing the boy's hand. Robert squeezed his other hand, his eyes also moist. "We are, champ. We are a family." They ate slowly, savoring every moment. They talked, laughed, told stories. Tyler made Oliver laugh with faces. Kelly and Robert exchanged glances across the table, shy smiles, silent connections. It was the simplest Christmas dinner Robert had ever had, but it was also the most special, because it wasn't just about the food, it was about the people, about love, about belonging. Kelly looked around the table, at Tyler eating happily, at Oliver giggling, at Robert smiling at her, and felt something she hadn't felt in a long, long time. She felt at home. It wasn't about the place. It was about the people. For the first time in so long, she didn't feel alone. She didn't feel lost. She didn't feel worthless. She felt part of something, of a family. And that feeling of belonging, of finally having a place in the world, was the best Christmas present she could have received. When they finished eating, Tyler brought out the decorated cookies. Dessert time. Everyone took a cookie. Tyler bit into his, making a satisfying noise. "It's delicious." Kelly bit into hers and agreed. It was really good. Robert tasted one and smiled. Perfect. They stayed there around the table, eating cookies, talking, laughing. The candles flickered softly. The house was warm and full of light. Outside, the snow started to fall again. But inside that house, there was warmth. There was love. There was family. And for the first time in a long time, everyone there believed that the future could be good, that they could be happy, together. The following days were calm on the surface. Kelly helped around the house, cooked, played with Tyler, took care of Oliver. She smiled when she should smile. She laughed when Tyler made his antics. She thanked Robert for everything. But Robert started to notice something. Kelly wasn't sleeping well. He heard footsteps in the hallway during the night. He heard her room door opening and closing. He heard Oliver's soft cry quickly being soothed, as if she was afraid of bothering anyone. One morning, he went downstairs early and found Kelly in the kitchen. She had deep, dark circles under her eyes, and her eyes were red from exhaustion. "Good morning," Robert said softly. Kelly jumped, startled, almost dropping her cup of coffee. "Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you." "No, it's okay," she said quickly, wiping up the spilled coffee. "Sorry about the mess. Are you all right?" "I am. Just a little tired." But it wasn't just tiredness. Robert could see it in her eyes. It was something else, and something deeper. In the following days, Kelly became even more restless. She checked on Oliver constantly. Even when the baby was sleeping soundly, she would go into the room every half hour to check if he was breathing, if he was okay, if nothing had happened. She flinched at any strange noise. A knock on the door made her freeze with fear. The phone ringing made her tense, and the guilt was written in every one of her gestures. "Sorry for using so much laundry detergent," she would say when washing clothes. "Sorry for eating too much at dinner. Sorry for occupying the guest room." Robert tried to reassure her every time. "You don't have to apologize, Kelly. This house is yours too now," but she couldn't truly believe it. Tyler, on the other hand, didn't notice any of this. For him, Kelly was simply part of the family. He loved her with that beautiful naturalness of children, without questioning, without judging, without expecting anything in return. "Kelly, come play with me," he asked every day. Kelly, can you teach me how to draw flowers? Kelly, you're the best cook in the world. And Kelly smiled, hugged him, played with him. But Robert saw the shadow in her eyes, something she was carrying alone. He wanted to help. He wanted to ask what was wrong, but he knew he had to wait for the right moment. Kelly needed to feel safe enough to open up. A week passed. Then 2. Kelly continued to sleep poorly. She continued to be startled. She continued to apologize for everything, until one night, everything came to a head. It was late. Tyler had been asleep for hours. Oliver, too. The house was silent. Robert was in the office, finishing some emails, when he heard footsteps coming down the stairs. He left the office and saw Kelly in the kitchen. She was facing away, making tea, but her hands were trembling so much that the cup rattled against the saucer, making noise. Robert approached slowly. Kelly. She turned quickly, startled. The cup almost fell again. Sorry, I just came to make some tea. I couldn't sleep. Robert looked at her. Kelly was pale, her eyes wide, her hands shaking violently. It wasn't just tiredness. It was panic. Kelly, what's going on? Nothing. Please, Robert interrupted, his voice gentle but firm. Don't lie to me. You're not okay. I can see it. What is happening? Kelly looked at him, her eyes filling with tears. She tried to speak, but her voice failed. She just shook her head, the tears starting to fall. Robert moved closer. Sit here, he said, pulling out a chair. Come on. Kelly sat down, still holding the cup of tea with her trembling hands. Robert sat on the other side of the table, waiting. For a long moment, Kelly just cried in silence. Then, with a broken, low voice, she started to talk. I'm scared, she whispered. Scared of what? Of losing Oliver. Robert frowned. Kelly, Oliver is fine. He's healthy? Happy? It's not that, she interrupted, her voice trembling. I'm scared someone will take him from me. Robert remained silent, letting her continue. Kelly wiped her tears with the back of her hand. When I was on the street, she began, her voice failing, I tried to ask for help. I went to a few places. I talked to social workers. She stopped, sobbing, and they said that I could lose Oliver. Robert felt his stomach clench. What do you mean? They said that because I didn't have permanent housing, because I wasn't in a position to properly care for him, they could take him from me. Kelly explained, the words coming out fast, desperate. They said it was for his safety, that a child needs a stable home, and that if I didn't manage to get that soon, they would consider placing him in temporary care. The tears were falling non-stop now. I was terrified. I stopped looking for help. I was scared to show up anywhere, because I thought they would take him from me. I preferred to stay on the street, be cold, be hungry, than risk losing my son. Robert felt anger rise. How could anyone do that to a mother who was already so vulnerable? And now, Kelly continued, trembling, I keep thinking that at any moment someone will find out I'm here, that they'll think I don't deserve to care for him, that they'll knock on the door and take him away from me. She looked at Robert with desperate eyes. I don't sleep because I keep checking if he's okay. I'm afraid of waking up and him not being there anymore. I'm afraid that all this is too good to be true and that someone will show up and end it all. Kelly covered her face with her hands, sobbing loudly now. If I lose Oliver, I lose everything. He's the only thing that keeps me alive, the only reason I keep going. If they take him from me, I won't survive. I can't. Robert got up from the chair and knelt beside her. He held Kelly's trembling hands in his. Kelly, look at me. She lifted her face, wet with tears. You are safe here, Robert said, his voice firm and full of determination. No one is going to take Oliver from you. Never as long as I'm here. But what if... There is no what if, Robert interrupted. I have resources. I have lawyers. I have everything necessary to ensure that you and Oliver stay together. No one is coming through that door to take your son. I won't allow it. Kelly sobbed, wanting to believe, but still scared. I'm so scared, Robert. So scared. I know, he said softly, and you have every right to be scared. But you're not alone anymore. You have me. You have Tyler. You have this house. "And I promise you, Kelly," he squeezed her hands, "I promise I will do everything in my power to protect you and Oliver." Kelly broke down completely. She cried like she hadn't cried since everything began. She cried out all the fear, all the pain, all the despair she had held alone for so long. Robert pulled her into a hug. Kelly clung to him as if she were drowning, and he was the only thing stopping her from sinking. "You are a good mother," Robert said softly. "You did everything to protect your son. You survived the impossible to keep him safe. No one has the right to judge you, no one. I just want to take care of him," Kelly sobbed against his shoulder. "I just want him to grow up happy and safe. That's all I want. And he will," Robert promised, "because you're here, because you're safe now, and because I will do everything to ensure that—" They stayed like that for several minutes, Robert holding Kelly while she cried, releasing all the weight she had carried alone. Slowly, the crying subsided. Kelly pulled back a little, wiping her face. "Sorry," she said, embarrassed. "I didn't mean to break down like that." "Don't apologize," Robert said firmly. "You held that in for too long. It needed to come out." Kelly nodded, still trembling, but a little calmer. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything, for believing in me, for protecting me, for not judging me." "Never," Robert said, looking into her eyes. "I will never judge you, and I will do everything I can to help you." Kelly felt an immense relief wash over her. There was still fear. Trauma doesn't disappear overnight. But for the first time, she felt like she wasn't alone carrying this weight. "Come," Robert said, standing up. "You need to sleep." "I don't know if I can." "Then at least try to rest, and if you wake up scared again, you come downstairs and call me. Any time." "Understood." Kelly nodded, emotional. Robert walked her to the room. Oliver was sleeping peacefully in the crib, his chest rising and falling softly. "He's okay," Robert said softly, "and he will continue to be okay. Because you're taking care of him, and because I'm taking care of both of you." Kelly looked at her sleeping son, then at Robert. "How do you do that?" she asked softly. "Do what?" "Make me feel like everything will be okay." "Even when I'm so scared," Robert smiled gently, "because I believe it, and you will too in time." Kelly nodded, still vulnerable, still scared, but with a small flame of hope igniting in her chest. "Good night, Kelly." "Good night, Robert, and thank you." Truly. Robert left the room, closing the door quietly. Kelly lay down on the bed, looking at the crib where Oliver slept. There was still fear. There was still insecurity. But for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel completely alone against the world. She had someone on her side, someone who promised to protect her and her son. And even if the fear was still there, heavy in her chest, there was also something new. Hope, fragile, small, but real. Kelly closed her eyes and, for the first time in weeks, managed to sleep without waking up every half hour checking if Oliver was still there, because she knew he was safe, that they both were safe, and that Robert wouldn't let anything bad happen to them. There was still a long way to go, there was still trauma to heal, there were still fears to face. But that night, Kelly allowed herself to rest. She allowed herself to trust, and she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, the future could be different from what she had feared, that she and Oliver could really have a chance to start over, to be happy, to be a family. And in that silent house, with the snow falling outside, 3 people slept in peace. A man who had learned to love again, a woman who had learned to trust again, and 2 children who, without knowing it, had united 2 lost souls and created something beautiful. A family, imperfect, unexpected, but real, and full of love. The morning was bright and cold. Robert woke up early, as always, and went downstairs to make coffee. It was a quiet Saturday sign with no work commitments. He had planned to spend the entire day at home with Tyler, Kelly, and Oliver. He was stirring the coffee when his phone rang. Unknown number. Robert answered. "Hello? Good morning. Is this Mr. Robert Harrison?" A female voice on the other end. "Yes, it is. This is New York Social Services." You called a few weeks ago asking about openings for a young mother with a baby, correct? Robert remembered. He had called several places right after Kelly arrived. Yes, I did. Well, Mr. Harrison, an opening has come up. We now have space at the central shelter for the mother and baby. If you still need it, we can schedule her admission for Monday. Robert was silent for a moment. He looked towards the hallway that led to the bedrooms. Kelly and Oliver were still asleep. Tyler, too. He thought about the previous week, when Kelly had broken down crying, afraid of losing her son. He thought about how she had opened up, how she had trusted him. He thought about Tyler playing with Oliver every day, the smiles, the laughter that filled the house. He thought about how this house had changed since they arrived, and he knew exactly what to answer. No need, Robert said, firm and decisive. What do you mean, sir? She already has a home. There was a pause on the other end. I see. So you no longer need the opening? No, but thank you for calling. No problem. Have a good day. Robert hung up and stood still looking at his phone. He had no doubt whatsoever. That decision was the right one. He put the phone on the counter and went back to stirring the coffee. That's when he heard a small sound behind him. He turned and saw Kelly standing in the kitchen doorway. She was in her pajamas, her hair messy, her eyes wide. You turned down the spot?" she asked, her voice trembling. Robert realized she had overheard the conversation. "Yes, I did," Kelly said, reading the question on his face. "I came down to get water and overheard you talking." She took a step forward, her hands shaking. "Why did you do that?" "It was a spot. A place for me and Oliver. You didn't have to—" "Kelly," Robert interrupted, dropping the spoon and walking towards her. "I turned it down because you don't need a shelter. But I can't stay here forever. You have your life, your work, Tyler." "Exactly," Robert said, stopping in front of her. "I have Tyler, and the house has changed since you arrived." Kelly looked at him, confused, her eyes filling with tears. Robert took a deep breath, searching for the right words. "I've never seen Tyler so happy," he began, his voice emotional. "He wakes up excited every day. He rushes to see you and Oliver. He plays, laughs, takes care of you as if you've always been part of his life. He is complete in a way I'd never seen before." Kelly covered her mouth with her hand, the tears starting to fall. "And Robert continued, his voice failing slightly. "I haven't felt this way in a long time either. This house was just me and Tyler. It was functional, but it was empty. It didn't have real life. And now there's laughter. There's a mess in the kitchen. There are baked cookies. The house is full of love." He looked into her eyes. "You already have a home here with us, if you want to stay." Kelly broke down. She covered her face with her hands and cried, her whole body shaking. They weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of profound relief, of gratitude, of hope. Robert moved closer and placed his hands on her shoulders. "You don't have to decide now," he said gently. "There's no rush. But I want you to know that you are welcome here, you and Oliver, for as long as you need." Kelly wiped her face and looked at him, her eyes red but shining. "Are you sure?" she whispered. "Absolutely. But what if I can't contribute? What if I can't help enough? What if—" "Kelly," Robert interrupted, firm but gentle, "you already contribute, just by being here, just by making Tyler happy, just by filling this house with life. That is more than enough." Kelly sobbed again and, without thinking, hugged Robert. He was surprised for a second, but quickly hugged her back, holding her as she cried on his shoulder. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for giving me a chance, for believing in me. You deserve this." Robert said softly, "You always did." They stayed like that for a few moments, until they heard small footsteps coming down the stairs. Tyler appeared, rubbing his eyes and still in his pajamas. "Why is Kelly crying?" he asked, worried. Kelly moved away from Robert and quickly wiped her face. "It's nothing bad, sweetie," she said, smiling through her tears. "These are happy tears." Tyler frowned, confused. "Happy tears?" "Yes," Kelly said, opening her arms. "Come here." Tyler ran and hugged her. Kelly held him tight, feeling her heart overflow. "Are you going to stay with us forever?" Tyler asked, looking up. Kelly looked at Robert. He nodded, encouraging her. "Yes, I am," Kelly answered, her voice full of emotion. "If you want us to, Oliver and I will stay." Tyler jumped for joy. "I want you to. I really do." He hugged Kelly so tightly he almost knocked her over. Kelly laughed, still crying, but now it was different. For the first time since everything began, she truly believed. She believed she was welcome. She believed she deserved this. She believed that she and Oliver had finally found a home. The next days were different. Lighter. The tension Kelly carried on her shoulders had lessened. She still flinched at noises sometimes, still checked on Oliver often, but it was no longer that constant panic. She had started to truly relax, and the entire house felt it. Tyler was radiant. He never left Kelly and Oliver's side. Every morning he woke up and rushed to their room. "Good morning, Kelly. Good morning, Oliver." And Kelly always responded with a smile. "Good morning, Tyler." They spent the entire days together. Tyler showed toys to Oliver, invented games, made faces. The baby loved it. He laughed all the time, clapped his hands, tried to grab the toys Tyler showed him. One day, Tyler had an idea. "Kelly, come look. I'm going to teach Oliver to walk." Kelly laughed. "Sweetie, he's still too small to walk." "But he can practice," Tyler insisted. He held Oliver by his little hands and stood him up. The baby wobbled, his legs trembling, but Tyler held on tight. "That's it. You can do it." Oliver took a tiny step, supported by Tyler, then another. His legs were shaking, but he was trying. Kelly's eyes widened. "Tyler, he's trying to walk. I told you." Tyler shouted, proud. Robert appeared in the living room, coming from the office, and stopped when he saw the scene. Tyler holding Oliver's hands, Kelly kneeling on the floor, filming with her phone, her eyes shining, Oliver taking shaky steps, smiling. It was a familiar scene. Tender. Beautiful. Robert felt his chest tighten with emotion. This was what a family should be. "Look, Dad," Tyler called. "Oliver is almost walking." Robert smiled and walked closer. "I see, champ. You're a great teacher." Tyler blushed with pride. Oliver took a few more steps, and then his legs gave out. He fell onto the floor sitting down, but instead of crying, he started to laugh. Everyone laughed along. "He'll get there soon," Kelly said, picking Oliver up and covering his face with kisses. "My brave boy." Tyler hugged her legs. "I'm going to help him walk every day." "You're the best big brother in the world," Kelly said, running her hand through his hair. Tyler looked at her with those bright eyes. "Really? Really?" The afternoon passed like this. Games, laughter, simple moments, but full of love. When evening came, Tyler went to take a bath. Oliver was sleeping in his crib. The house was quiet. Kelly was in the kitchen, washing dishes, when Robert appeared. "Need help?" "I'm almost finished," Kelly said, smiling. "But thank you." Robert grabbed a cloth and started drying the dishes. They were silent for a few moments, working side by side. It was Robert who broke the silence. "Kelly, I need to tell you something." Kelly looked at him, curious. Robert put down the cloth and turned completely towards her. "You are already part of our family," he said, his voice firm but full of emotion. "I want you to know that it's not just about having a place to stay. It's about belonging, and you belong here." Kelly felt her eyes fill with tears again. "Robert, I'm going to help you get back on your feet," he continued. "We'll find a job for you. When you're ready, we'll make sure you have everything you need, but in the meantime, you stay here, with us, as family." He took a step forward. "You are never going to be alone again. Never, I promise." Kelly covered her mouth with her hand, the tears falling freely now. She reached out her hand, trembling, and Robert took it. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything, for believing in me, for giving me a chance, for making me feel like I have value." "You always had value," Robert said, squeezing her hand. "You just needed someone to show you that," Kelly sobbed and squeezed his hand back. That's when Tyler appeared in the kitchen, already in his pajamas, his hair wet. He looked at the two of them holding hands and smiled hugely. Without saying anything, he ran and hugged both of them, wedging himself in the middle. "Group hug," he shouted, laughing. Kelly and Robert laughed and hugged the boy. The three of them stayed there, hugging in the kitchen, the soft light upon them. It was a simple picture, but it was perfect. A family, not by blood, but by choice. Not planned, but real. Not perfect, but full of love. Kelly closed her eyes, feeling Robert's arms around her. Tyler squeezed against her body, and for the first time in so long, she felt complete. She felt like she finally had a place in the world, a place where she was loved, a place where she was accepted, a place where she and Oliver could be happy. "I love you guys," Tyler said suddenly, his voice muffled against Kelly's shirt. Kelly felt her heart explode. "I love you too," she replied, her voice broken with emotion. Robert tightened the hug, not saying anything, but the gesture said it all. They stayed like that for several minutes, just the three of them hugging in silence. Outside, the night was cold and dark, but inside that house there was warmth, there was light, there was love, and there was the promise of a better future. A future where Kelly wouldn't have to run anymore, where Oliver would grow up safe and loved, where Tyler would have the family he always wanted, and where Robert would finally feel whole again. When they finally separated, everyone's eyes were red, but they were smiling. "Let's watch a movie," Tyler suggested. "All together." "Good idea," Robert said. "I'll go get Oliver," Kelly said. "He can stay in his car seat with us." A few minutes later, the four of them were in the living room. Tyler and Kelly on the sofa, Oliver in his car seat beside them, Robert in the armchair. An animated movie played on the TV, but no one was paying much attention. They were just enjoying being together. Tyler leaned his head on Kelly's shoulder. She wrapped her arm around him, pulling him close. Robert watched everything, his heart full. His life had completely changed in a matter of weeks. He had been a man focused on work, distant, alone with his son, and now he had this. A family, a house full of life, and all because of an impossible request from a 5-year-old boy on a cold Christmas night. Tyler yawned, his eyes closing. "I'm sleepy," he mumbled. "Let's put you to bed," Kelly said softly. She stood up, picked Tyler up, even though he was getting big, and carried him upstairs. Robert picked up Oliver, still sleeping in his car seat, and followed them. They tucked Tyler into bed. Kelly covered him with care, gave him a kiss on the forehead. "Good night, my love." "Good night, Kelly," Tyler mumbled, half asleep already. "Love you. I love you too." Robert said good night to his son, and the three of them left the room. They placed Oliver in the crib in Kelly's room. The baby continued to sleep soundly. Kelly and Robert stood next to the crib for a moment, just observing. "Thank you," Kelly said softly. "For everything, truly." Robert looked at her and smiled. "We're a family now. Family takes care of each other." Kelly smiled back, her eyes shining. "Family," she repeated, as if testing the word. "I like that. I do too," Robert said. They looked at each other for a long moment. There was something in the air, a connection, a deep understanding. But neither of them said anything. It wasn't time yet. "Good night, Kelly." "Good night, Robert." Robert left the room, closing the door softly. Kelly stood still in the dark, looking at the crib where Oliver slept. For the first time in so long, she didn't feel fear. She didn't feel despair. She felt peace, and she felt gratitude. For that man who had reached out his hand when she needed it most. For that boy who had taught everyone the true meaning of love. For that house that had become a home. Kelly lay down on the bed and closed her eyes, and for the first time in a long, long time, she slept in peace, knowing she was safe, knowing she was home, knowing she would never be alone again, because now she had a family. And nothing in the world was more valuable than that. 2 months passed since that phone call that changed everything. The routine of the house had completely transformed. It was no longer the silent, empty house from before. Now it was full of life, laughter, good kind of mess. Kelly woke up early every day and prepared breakfast for everyone. Tyler rushed downstairs, excited, always asking what there was to eat. Oliver drooled in his high chair, clapping his hands on the table. Robert no longer spent so much time locked in the office. He worked fewer hours, ate lunch with them, had dinner as a family. For the first time in years, he had different priorities. And Kelly had changed completely. She was no longer that scared woman, trembling with fear against the cold wall. She smiled genuinely now, She laughed out loud. She slept through the night without waking up in a panic. She had gained weight, her cheeks were rosy, her eyes shone. She was alive again. Oliver had also changed. The thin, pale baby from before was now plump, healthy, always giggling. He had started crawling a few weeks ago, and now he explored the whole house, with Tyler always nearby to make sure he didn't get hurt. "Oliver, come here," Tyler called, clapping his hands. Oliver crawled towards him, smiling, drooling, happy. "Good boy," Tyler said, hugging the baby. Kelly watched those scenes and felt her heart overflow. Tyler cared for Oliver like a real brother, not because someone told him to, but because he loved that baby. It was a Saturday morning, 3 days before Christmas. The Christmas tree was set up in the living room, decorated with colorful lights and ornaments Tyler had made. The house smelled of cinnamon and hot chocolate. Kelly was in the kitchen preparing cookies. Robert was reading the newspaper at the table. Tyler was playing with Oliver in the living room. "Kelly, come look!" Tyler suddenly shouted. Kelly dropped the spoon and ran to the living room. Robert followed her. Tyler was holding Oliver by his little hands, keeping the baby standing up. Oliver's legs trembled, but he was managing to stand on his own. "Look, he's almost walking," Tyler said, excited. Oliver took a tiny, shaky step supported by Tyler's hands, then another and another. Tyler looked at Kelly, his eyes shining with pure happiness. "Mommy, look, he's almost walking." The world stopped. Kelly froze completely. The words echoed in her head. Mommy. Tyler had called her Mommy. Tears instantly filled her eyes. She covered her mouth with her hands, trembling. Tyler realized what he had said and blushed, insecure. "Sorry, I didn't mean to." "No," Kelly managed to speak, her voice completely broken. "Don't apologize." She knelt down on the floor, opening her arms. Tyler let go of Oliver on the rug and ran to her. Kelly hugged him so tightly she almost knocked the air out of the boy. "You can call me that," she sobbed, crying into his hair. "You can call me Mommy whenever you want." Tyler pulled back a little, looking at her with wide eyes. "Really? Really?" Tyler hugged her again, tight. "I wanted you to be my mom," he said, his voice soft but firm. "Ever since you got here. I always wanted you to—" Kelly completely broke down. She cried like she had never cried before, but they weren't tears of pain. They were tears of absolute happiness. Robert walked closer, his own eyes moist. He knelt down next to the two of them and placed his hand on Kelly's shoulder. "He said what he feels," Robert said softly, smiling. "And I feel it too. You are already his mother. The way you care for him, the way you love him, you already are." Kelly looked at Robert, the tears falling non-stop. I never thought that. But it happened," Robert said, "because we're a family now." He opened his arms and hugged Kelly and Tyler together. The three of them stayed there, kneeling on the living room floor, hugging, crying and laughing at the same time. Oliver, who was sitting on the rug, clapped his hands and let out a loud giggle. Everyone looked at him and laughed. "Come here, Oliver," Kelly said, reaching out her arms. Tyler picked up the baby and placed him in her lap. Kelly hugged Oliver along with Tyler, and Robert hugged all three of them. "We're a family now," Robert said, his voice full of emotion. "A real family." Tyler looked at his dad, then at Kelly, then at Oliver. "The best family in the world," he said. Kelly kissed Tyler's forehead, then Oliver's. She looked at Robert and smiled through her tears. "Thank you," she whispered, "for giving me a family, for giving me a home." "You gave us that too," Robert replied. "You brought life to this house. You brought love. You brought light." They stayed there for several minutes, just hugging, enjoying that perfect moment. The Christmas tree twinkled behind them, casting colorful lights on the four of them. The golden light hit their faces, creating a cinematic, beautiful, emotional scene. A family formed not by blood, but by choice. Not planned, but perfect. Not perfect in the traditional sense, but full of true love. Kelly looked around, at Tyler hugging her, calling her Mommy, at Oliver giggling in her lap, at Robert holding all of them, protecting, loving. 6 months ago, she was on the street, shivering from the cold, thinking she was going to die. Thinking the world had given up on her. Thinking she would never have anything again. And now she had everything. She had a home. She had a family. She had love. And it all started with the purest, most impossible gesture of a 5-year-old boy. A boy who, on a cold Christmas night, instead of asking for a present for himself, asked for a home for 2 people he didn't even know. A boy who had seen suffering and chose to act. A boy who had taught his billionaire father and a desperate mother the true meaning of family. Tyler looked up, seeing everyone looking at him. "Why is everyone looking at me?" he asked, confused. Robert laughed and ruffled his hair. "Because you're special, champ. You saved this family." "I just wanted to help," Tyler said, shrugging. "And you did help," Kelly said, kissing his forehead again. "You changed our lives." Tyler smiled, proud, and hugged her tighter. Oliver clapped his hands again as if he were applauding. Everyone laughed. "I think Oliver agrees," Robert said. Kelly held Oliver close to her chest, feeling her heart overflow with gratitude. She looked at the illuminated Christmas tree, the warm and cozy house, the family embracing her, and for the first time in her whole life, she felt completely at home. It wasn't about the place, it was about the people. It was about love. It was about belonging, and she finally belonged. The 4 of them stayed there, hugging, illuminated by the lights of the Christmas tree, while the snow fell softly outside. A family that was born from the cold. A family that was born from suffering. A family that was born from the purest gesture of a 5-year-old boy who believed that love could change everything. And it did change everything. It changed 4 lives forever. It created a home where before there was emptiness. It created love where before there was loneliness. It created a family where before there was only survival. And as the Christmas lights twinkled softly, the 4 of them remained embraced. A family, imperfect, unexpected, but absolutely real. And full of love. The kind of love that saves, the kind of love that heals, the kind of love that transforms. And in that house, that night, illuminated by the Christmas tree, a new story began. A story of a fresh start. A story of hope. A story of family. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next ones. Leave a like because it helps this story get recommended to more people. See you in the next story.